Triple XP. Triple XP.
Welcome to Triple XP. This is episode 20. I am joined by Mike,
Hi.
and this week we're joined by Max.
Hello.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm Shane. You can find us on all the usual places, YouTube, Spotify, and any other important place where podcasts are held. On this week's episode, we will be discussing E3's digital return. Mike finally plays Jedi Fallen Order and gives us his opinion on it. And we get to talking about graphical art styles. But before we get into any of that, how are you both?
Max, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just come off of the night shift and woke up not so long ago. But yeah, feeling fresh.
After a night shift.
Yeah.
That's a sentence I don't think I've ever heard. I've just woke up from having a night shift. I'm
Super
feeling
fresh.
fresh.
Mind you, it's like 4 PM as we record this. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I used to do nights all the time, and even after waking up at 4 PM, I still felt like death. Nights fucks up your body clock. It does weird things. Weird things indeed.
It's my first one ever, so we'll see if I have to like force my body into it in the future.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, the detrimental effects of that, we'll see.
So, is this with COVID stuff in place, sort of thing, a job you picked up, to get some cash flow and whatnot?
Yeah, just get some extra dollar. Yeah, we're supposed to be getting married this year, and just with the reduction in salary and everything, it's just nice to sort of bulk that up a bit and kind of get some planning ahead, just in case anything bad does happen.
Plus, it's a reason to get out of the house.
And that as well, yeah, that's really helped in terms of like a mental health side. Just getting out and meeting new people as well, that's been really helpful for me, I think.
Yeah, government, take that. There's
Yeah.
a loophole in your lockdown is we can just get extra jobs.
Yeah, I'll just go see people at my new job. Try and stop me.
Mike, how are you? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I've just recently got a new job as well, and that comes with a weekly COVID test, which is lovely. So I'm sort of kind of into nostril play now. After getting tested every week. But
Nice.
But I mean, other than that, new kink. I'm pretty good.
Nostril and feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's your kinks at the moment.
Essentially, yeah.
Nice. Interestingly, I also start my new job
Oh, look at
Monday.
us go.
So, triple XP, triple job, smackdown.
Look at us, a bunch of go-getters.
But yeah, I mean, I spoke about mine previously, like going into Monday to Friday. So finally no more weekends. It's a Saturday, and I get to lay on my bed while recording this with you guys at 4 PM.
Nice.
Not something I could have thought of doing
Oh,
3 months ago. No. But anyway, should we get into the news?
Yeah, I feel like it's a big one
Yeah.
this week. I feel like there's a lot of news to cover.
Yeah, there's some really, really big stories this week. So as per always, Max, as our guest, do you want to hit us with your story first?
Yeah, so this week saw a few bands remaster the Super Mario World's soundtrack. Go on Twitter, the Brickster is sort of the main project manager for this venture, and due to the Giga Leak last year of a lot of source code and internal documents from Nintendo, they've been able to track down original samples used from different games. One of those being the source code from the Super Mario Advance game. And so they have then utilised these to rebuild the songs. So rather than having like the having to compress the audio file with the constraints of the SNES and its audio RAM, like that, they've managed to remaster them basically, utilizing the original samples.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's as per usual. Like, Super Mario World is one of my favourite games of all time, and it's just given me the nostalgia itch to go through and play them again. But also seek out like other tracks that guys have restored, like the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack as well, which is incredible anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel
So
like,
I've not.
Oh, go on, Matt. Yeah.
I was just going to say I've not heard these tracks. Have you both heard them?
No,
Like the remastered
no.
versions, not the original.
Yeah, I've sat down through the playlist. Although they're amazing and sort of gave me that nostalgic sort of itch to play those old games again, I don't think that they've got the kind of unique sound that that they had to kind of create by forcing themselves to live within the constraints of the SNES. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I kind of know what you mean there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great that they've been able to do that, but I still think that the originals sound better.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, Mike. You had a point you wanted to raise.
just where can you listen to these? Are they on Spotify?
No, they're just on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the main project managers, the Brickster, and yeah, I'll have to find. We can link later on in the show notes, just regarding where we can listen to these amazing restores.
Yeah. It seems like Nintendo just has this like great community. Just going back to like last week's episode with, Ed's story about Super Smash Bros. It's just Nintendo specifically has this community behind it that just keep reviving these old games and stuff. It's just nice to see. It's just
I think
wholesome.
with Nintendo as well, they like I know we talk about with the stupid like console wars and that we talk about sort of like there's these fan loyalties, but when you think of Nintendo, their fans really are the most loyal fans.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how shit something is that Nintendo throws at. With the Wii U, here you go, guys. Love it. It's great. Worst console ever made. Love it.
There's just such a passion behind like Nintendo's history and backlog. It's endearing to see that. Like I was looking at this Brickster guys is only sort of like 18, and it's amazing that someone who never experienced the original has taken such a sort of kind of love for these like old games and kind of bringing his passion to developing them even more.
Yeah, but and this is the good thing with Nintendo as well, particularly over the last 40 years. Every generation has had a really strong Nintendo console to build their love of Nintendo off of, and then has allowed them to expand into stuff that was pre their birth or newer stuff. So like you look at obviously the current generation being the Switch, this guy would have grown up with the GameCube, which was one of their like absolutely most adored consoles in the last sort of 10 years or 20 years. And then you're going back to the N64, and then before that, the NES and SNES. Like the last 40 to 50 years, you're going to struggle to find a generation that has gamers in it that hasn't had an outstanding Nintendo console to help build that love off of.
Yeah.
Which the others just don't have that level of old school.
No, there's such a heritage that they've developed, and it's good to see new people kind of fostering that heritage as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, definitely. What a beautifully wholesome story to start us off. so wholesome. Do you want me to go next, Mike, or do you want to hit yours? I know you bought two.
Go on. I'm overachieving, that's why.
I'll do mine.
Go on,
you can finish with yours. So I know Max has seen this. I don't know if you've seen it, but Epic announced a new development tool. I believe it was last week, called MetaHumans, and it's essentially a character customization tool that's going to. This is obviously based off my very limited understanding of video game development. That will allow companies and developers to use this tool to develop characters in a much quicker process time to what it would have taken previously. So let me just read through the clip here, like part of the article that I've got here, which is from PC Gamer. So the MetaHuman Creator is powered by the Unreal Engine and allows for scarily realistic human proportions and facial animation. The main aim is to dramatically reduce the time studios spend creating and rigging realistic looking humans, something which Epic says can take weeks or even months, saying on its website, bringing compelling real-time digital humans to life is so incredibly challenging and time-consuming. Now, they're talking about it being weeks or months, and this new tool, my understanding is that via utilising this tool, you could create very realistic looking character designs in a matter of hours, or at least in under a day. It's from what I've read, which is pretty insane.
It's mental.
Yeah, from like development standpoint, this must be pretty exciting. But like,
yeah, and just before the show, while you were dealing with your dog situation, me and Max were just saying, like, you look at what Epic did with when they announced the new Unreal Engine earlier back end of last year, with the new Luminous tool, the lighting tool that they spoke about, and the tools that they were talking about where you could just take an object from one thing and it would just like 3D render and create it to be put into another like source. So you could like chop and change across different formats and games and stuff. And now throwing in this tool as well, it's like Epic are spending a lot of time and money to really push development forward to benefit both development costs, development times, to just the general development of video games to try and future-proof that as much as possible.
Yeah,
is how it kind of comes across to me.
Like the Unreal Engine is like used so broadly across like many games, something you don't even realize as well. But it's just, I guess it's just their like bread and butter, isn't it? It's the main source of income.
Jedi, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're probably listening outside of the episode. But I think my understanding is that the Unreal Engine is the most used engine across, like in general. I know there are some studios that have their own specific engines, but as in Unreal is one of the most widely used across the entire industry because it's used by so many different companies, from very small startup companies right up to big boys using it for any number of different reasons. I don't know if you guys know any more on that than I do, but that's my understanding. Is it's literally like one of the most used engines out there.
Yeah,
I think.
Go on, sorry. Go ahead.
I think like that and Unity, it's really good for kind of indie developers, just because they're available free. Epic has got a really good store environment as well, so that you can pick up other elements that other people have built, which you can also pay for. So it's kind of like a monetary stream for some developers, where they can kind of build different environments that people can kind of use in their projects, which is really good. But kind of back onto like the MetaHuman, creating a fully rigged character in a short space of time is incredible. Similar to what we were talking about earlier with how, with some of the objects, especially in game development, artists and developers are trying to kind of compress the way that objects are with their like polygons, and with the new tools, that's not so much of an issue anymore. So that they can kind of, rather than focusing on kind of constraining the object, they can just kind of have a lot more free reign with being able to build rather than kind of compress it. And yeah, painting like the weights on a ribbed character to kind of get the skeleton to move with the outer body. It takes a lot of time, and just streamlining that is such a great tool for artists, I think.
Yeah, which
So
hopefully
no, I'll go ahead, Mike.
hopefully it'll just lead to a quicker turnaround for games for us to play.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
me and
the
Shane
end.
were saying that before.
That's the end goal here, isn't it? Like, give us more games quickly.
Yeah, and this is
and
what I
at
said.
good
Like,
quality.
even if it drops it by 20%, if it or a quarter of the time, like if it's a 4-year development time and it drops it to a 3-year development time, amazing.
Yeah.
Like if it drops it by 6 months, amazing. So just on the, because you obviously mentioned around price points and stuff. So the part of this article does state Epic confirmed to PC Gamer that MetaHuman's creator will be free for use with the Unreal Engine, which is also free for use with commercial Unreal Engine game projects paying royalties only after earning over $1 million in revenue. So these tools that Epic are putting out there, they don't request any royalties off of them until it's earned over $1 million in revenue.
And then
which,
they want
again,
like 999,000.
99% of the revenue. But I mean, again, for those smaller developers out there that are starting out or that are trying to get their product off the ground, and are unlikely to hit those high numbers very quickly, this is a great tool that they can use for free, just to get out there. And I'm sure that any company wouldn't be fussed about having to then pay royalties once they've made that first million. Like if you're able to get your name out there, because if you're making $1 million, then chances are you're getting noticed by people. So
yeah,
it's a win-win.
Good use of those Fortnite bucks.
I mean, imagine if that was it. Like you've got to pay royalties, but we only want them in Fortnite bucks. So, Mike, what have you bought to this week?
So this week, HBO has confirmed the cast for The Last of Us TV series. So it's essentially headed up by Pedro Pascal, who from the Mandalorian TV series, which we all love, and he's playing Joel. And they've also cast alongside as Ellie Bella Ramsey, and if you don't know who that is, it's Lyanna Mormont from the Game of Thrones TV series. And I wasn't too excited about them. I wanted a Last of Us TV series. Yeah, I'm all about that. But I just wasn't sure about them touching the Ellie and Joel story. I think like it's perfect as it is. It's a nice little package. But this casting is just like so good. It's perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
Pedro really looks the part.
Yeah, I think
it's a solid choice there. I've seen a lot of people not particularly massively happy with Bella Ramsey, but then a lot of them are like basing it on her Game of Thrones appearance, in which A, she was very good, but B, that was a fair few years ago now. She's grown up quite a bit since she did that show, because we're talking 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And she's quite a young actress, so she's at that stage where development of her is at its like peak, where she's going to be developing a lot, not just in her abilities but also in her actual age and looks, maturity wise. I can't see an issue with this.
I think she was one of those characters in Game of Thrones in those later seasons where it's sort of dipping in quality a bit that really sort of shone through. And I think it's just again, just great casting.
Yeah, I think some of the outrage that's come from this is like that. It's like, oh, well, we want Elliot Page to. It's like it's not going to happen. Just I know that originally when it came out that they looked very similar, and they were saying that.
Didn't Naughty Dog have to change Ellie's appearance because she looked too much like Elliot Page?
Potentially, yeah. But
there was something about that, yeah.
It's just hilarious that Elliot Page is a lot older now than compared to when the games first came out, and it's just stop having like this complete age difference of younger characters being played by kind of 30-year-old
Yeah,
people. It just doesn't make sense.
yeah. Like you get those like Ellie watches all these cheesy like teen dramas, and they're all like 32 with like stubble and beards and stuff, and they're playing like little teenagers. Like
Yeah, but there's also this like ridiculous, absolute ridiculous, like toxic fandom view that just because one person is, whether it be a voice actor or an actor or whoever, has played that character well, that no one else could possibly ever play that character ever again in any other way or ever be
Yeah.
good at it.
I mean,
And it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
originally I was sort of like, don't you know, nobody could play Joel as good as you know, Troy Baker did, and he did such a great job on that. But this is just another version of The Last of Us, so I'm just so happy that there's more Last of Us content.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, it's okay to be concerned that it's not going to be as good as you personally want it to be, but the fan outrage.
Yeah, I'm
over
not
these
like,
sort of
it's
things.
ruined, all of The Last of Us is ruined.
Yeah, exactly. Like we saw it with the Avengers when they changed all the Avengers, didn't use film versions and use their own versions.
Yeah, you
We
get
saw it
all
with
the
this.
time, don't you?
There was the when there was like people talking about the fact that they were talking about recasting Wolverine to be obviously able to bring him into the MCU, and everyone's like, no, Hugh Jackman, it has to be Hugh Jackman. It's like, honestly, look at the man.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. Like, just honestly, there are other actors out there that will do just as good a job if you give them a chance.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just don't give them a chance.
It's like Heath Ledger when he originally got cast as a Joker. He was like
Exactly.
outrage all over, and they were just like, he'll never be a good Joker. Like, but you know, he's up there with the best. So
Yeah, and I was about to say Ben Affleck when he was cast as Batman, and everyone was like, yeah, but he was so shit at Daredevil. Yeah, he was. Like 10 years prior.
yeah,
He's moved on as an actor since then.
Doesn't help that was a terrible film as well. So
I mean, it was a terrible film, but it was also it was a child of its time, wasn't it? It was a film that very much was with the time of those.
Was it like early
really
2000s?
cheesy, really cheesy, like actiony superhero-y films. X-Men hadn't even fully kind of established itself in the way that it was taken, because X-Men was the one that really started pushing it forward, and it was shit. Yeah, it was shit, but it doesn't mean that 10 years later or 15 years or however many years it's been, that man now can't act a different role, because he's been a great actor in so many other things.
Yeah, Argo and
Exactly. It's such a ridiculous like fandom thing that really infuriates me, that people can't just give an actor or actress a chance at a character because it doesn't fit their perfect little bubble world of what they want that character to be.
Yeah,
Madness.
I agree.
But I think this will be great.
Yeah, so excited
yes,
for it.
I'm very excited.
Very
So
excited.
yeah, just moving on to my next story. E3 is making a comeback.
Also very exciting.
So it's like an all digital event now. This is great news. I love E3, but it just reminds me of that person on Facebook that we're all friends with, who's like, I'm leaving social media, you'll never see me again, and then a week later it's like, I'm back, hey.
Did you miss us?
Yeah. So it's like, so yeah, but I'm all in for this. So yeah, E3 is back, baby.
I mean, this is a challenging one anyway, because obviously E3 didn't do anything last year because of the COVID situation. Completely understandable. Could they have put something in place on a digital basis? Probably. Actually, was it better for them to take a year out and kind of redefine who they were and what they wanted to be? Probably, actually, yes. But we know that for the last, 3 years, Sony has very much been against E3 in its previous format. A lot of other companies have also spoke out about the fact that E3 was almost a relic. It wasn't fit for purpose to what they wanted anymore. They were trying to push it to be more of a fan show, and I know that the whoever runs E3 was trying to push against that. So yeah, I think a digital event is the right move moving forward, especially now that so many of the big companies are doing their own digital thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Sony,
it's
Ubisoft.
It's just another step to that all digital future, isn't it? That we're
Yeah,
heading towards.
and you know what? If E3 can bring all that digital content, not all of it, 'cause Sony will still have its state of plays, and Nintendo will still do whatever the fuck they want. But if it can bring the bulk of that digital content under one banner in a like 1 week format, I'm all for it. Some of games was great, but it was far too long.
It dragged
There was
on,
just-
and then it was just so much like filler.
Yeah, and there
It was-
was just too much to keep up with as well. It was
Yeah.
too long and too overfilled with too much guff.
Yeah.
And although I've forgotten his name,
Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley. Yeah, although Jeff Keighley did an absolutely amazing job of putting all that together, but it was just impossible to keep up with that schedule. So if E3 can do that, but much more refined and in a much shorter space of time with a much better layout of who they digitally want involved, that'll be much nicer. And plus I can go back to staying up until like 3 a.m. to watch Sony like have some bloke playing the banjo on a stage to show off their new game.
Shout out to Last of Us 2.
Makes up good watch party content. So
It does, yeah. I do always enjoy those, like when we're taking the piss out of like the awkwardness that always happens at E3.
Pivotal.
The pivotal role, yeah.
Yeah, but like we know that the marketing for games now, and particularly for game companies like big studios, it is all digital now. They don't require the same marketing they required when E3 was set up in 1995 or something when it first started, something like that. It was in the mid-90s. They don't need the same setup that they used to have because they have the ability to market for themselves now in the way that they want to do it, when they want to do it, how they want to do it.
Yeah.
So moving to all digital just makes sense. And if they can, I can't imagine, there's always going to still be a behind closed door element to it because you can't release pre-builds to the public. I get that. There's always going to be something that journalists need to be able to play. So there'll still be whether that will be a digital setup or not. I know that when I've listened to a lot of other podcasts and like reviewers last year, they did a lot of things where it was like streamed to their console or streamed to their PC so they could play the game from home, but over like while they're being monitored. I imagine something like that would happen, but I know that was it Blizzard who were looking at like pay per ticket,
Like a digital ticket sort of thing.
Yeah, so you could access specific things that you wouldn't be able to access as a non-paying customer. As long as it's not ridiculous, as long as you're not turning around to me and saying, right, you have to pay £40 or $40 for this ticket
To play like a 5-minute demo of fucking Overwatch 2 or whatever.
Yeah, as long as
Diablo
it's
Immortal.
reasonable. If they turn around and said, you know what, it's a $5 digital ticket to gain extra footage, extra content, and you get access to these specific demos, I'd be all for that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in the world would, and you would probably make more money by dropping it lower than you would by having it at a higher price.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
I think with the focus of the cloud gaming sort of instances, like things like the demos being released like as a link or like a secure link to people or like the public or like the press, it kind of opens up such an avenue for people to test it, like to try these games at those events that we necessarily wouldn't be able to when they're over the other side of the world from us. I think with this digital ages, there's a lot more opportunities for people now with that sense.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, you look at, and I don't know what your two's view on this, but I feel like these last, let's say, 3 years where Sony have started doing their state of plays and started doing more regular stuff, Microsoft has started doing more regular stuff, EA has had a few little digital events, so has Ubisoft. I feel like in these last 3 years, every event that we've had from companies, we've seen more gameplay than we've ever seen before at these type of events, because they're not filling them with like some shitty celebrity doing a Just Dance intro on a stage, or like, here's this Forza car that we built in real life to show you. It's a focus on the gameplay, and that's what fans want. They want to see the gameplay, and it feels like the last few years that's really what they've been giving us. Sony has come out with a state of play, and it's half an hour long, and it's literally just bang, 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 gameplay,
Yeah.
gameplay with a random voiceover woman doing little bits in between. And that's, I mean, as gamers, that's all we want, isn't it? Just more gameplay footage. I just want to see the games. I want to know dates. I want to know games.
What I love is when they drop a like, you can play this right now,
Yeah.
and then it's just immediately available after the trailer. Like, I feel like that's got so much like untapped potential. I know it's kind of like works on whether the developer's ready to do that or not, or really, you know, release these demos and stuff. But you know, if E3 were to come back and say all of these games that you watch, you can just play them right now, whether it be a demo or, you know, releasing it right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that
if E3
doesn't
were to do that,
that doesn't happen as often as we would like it to. Devolver Digital are quite good with that.
Yeah.
Like, and Nintendo are quite good with it as well. It's been like, here's a demo for a game that actually came out last week. We just didn't tell you.
yeah,
But the last one I remember where that was like really big, and I'm pretty sure, Max, you were at this one, either at my house or I was on mic to you, was when they did the Battlefield Hardline one.
Yeah.
Because I think, wasn't it like Snoop Dogg was playing the demo in the studio, and then they were like, and you could be like Snoop Dogg and download the demo now. And then it literally like went live then, and then it crashed because everyone in the world was trying to download it.
Yeah, the store complete. It was on PS3, wasn't it? And the
Yeah.
PS3 store was trash anyway,
God.
and it was like the store's buckled with everyone trying to get on it at the same time. We were
And
just like messaging each other like, "Have you got into it yet? Have you got it yet?"
that's the PS3 store buckled if two people were trying to like access it at the same time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's Snoop Dogg on the telly with his joint in his mouth playing Hardline, just smiling at the camera. Oh, great times. But yeah, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the news for this week, isn't it? Anything else we've missed? Any other points you two wanted to make?
Nope. Absolutely nothing. Nothing else.
Absolutely. That's it. In the bin. Let's move on.
Next.
So, what we have been playing, our second segment, and as per usual, Mac, we start with yourself as our guest. Hit us with your games of the week.
Games of the week. So, I don't know why, but I decided after playing Demon Souls, I thought, you know what, I want more pain. So, Sekiro came out in 2019, wasn't it? And
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And when I first played it, I think I nearly threw my controller out the window and how frustrated I was with it. And I thought, you know what, I want some more of that in my life again. So I was like, right, I'm going to shout out to you boys and girls at Boomerang, rented Sekiro. And yeah, I'm going back through that at the moment. When I first got back into it, I was like, I haven't played this for a while. I can't remember how to do anything. And I remember everyone used to go, "Oh, you need to do the Makiri counter," like, and trying to focus on timings. And I was like, right, okay, I'm going to go back to the training guy, in kind of the shrine that you start off at. I think his name Hanbei the Undying.
Yeah.
And
Get the Rocky montage on the go, and then
yeah, chasing chickens, and there are giant roosters in the game. So, but yeah, I was like, right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fight him. Like, rising up. But so yeah, I was like, right, I'm going to learn the timings, kind of understand like the posture and the Makiri counter, and then I'm going to go back into this. So yeah, it's been some incredible boss fights, like the undead ape.
mate, fuck that gorilla. I hate that goddamn thing.
Like, I fought it, and then obviously it comes back to life, and you're like, oh, okay. But then,
Oh.
but then like you carry on going through, and then there's another point in the game, and like I was like, what is that? Is that a lizard on the side of the wall? I jumped into the arena, and then it's the fucking ape again, and he's back. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, why won't you die?
Oh yeah,
But
it's awful.
yeah, I've just beaten the owl, and yeah, just being absolutely triggered by every time I died. It's like, one, the parent is absolute, and I was like, okay, but please stop saying that. I get it. I'm rubbish at this game.
It's like seared into your brain.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just like going to bed and just like, the parent is absolute.
Just waking up in cold sweats, like waking the missus up.
No, daddy, no. But yeah, and the great thing about it as well is that sorry, Mike, but I'm playing it on the PS5 at the moment, so it's got a 60 FPS upgrade. So it just feels so smooth compared to when I played it on the PS4.
I think that's the kind of game where those extra frames per sec like mean something.
Yeah, they really do. I still have some frustrations with like some of the timings and some of the moves. Like I feel that sometimes it tracks you when it shouldn't, and I'm a bit like, don't really get that. And but it might just be being shit, really. So, but yeah, I've got a lot more patience for it now. I'm still getting frustrated with it at times, but I've got a lot more patience for it, and I am making progress, and I will finish this game.
Yeah, I mean, I got to fucking
Determination.
Yeah,
yes,
I got to Gorilla Grodd and then fucked it off. I was like, nah, I'm done.
Well, now you know that he comes back. So
yeah. I even like I was like, right, I'll get some fucking hype music on, and I got the Rage Against Machines like Guerrilla Radio. I like played that, and I was like, I'm gonna do it this time, and it just didn't work.
Well, now you know that if you revisit it, you need the power of Stambush.
I do need the power of Stambush. I think that's what it is.
That's 100% what you need.
Yeah,
100%.
But yeah, also I've been playing Destiny. The new season has come out, Season of the Chosen. It's so much better than Season of the Hunt currently. Obviously, you know, it's a long season. I think it's like 70, 80 days or something, maybe even 90. But yeah, there's just been some nice changes to the UI and like the weekly and seasonal bounties. Just trying to reduce that FOMO that is currently sort of a part of Destiny. You've got the new Battlegrounds activity, which is kind of like a mini strike, and you just get, excuse the expression, but pounded by the balls of Kabul.
Mate, what? So, Mike, because you this is going to be confusing for you. Essentially, one of the enemies, the Cabal, which are like these giant space rhinos, their way of like arriving on the planet is they basically drop in these giant metal balls. They are literally giant metal balls that hold like a small platoon of them, like I know, like 8 or 9 troops at a time. But if you get hit by a ball, you will die because it's a giant metal ball falling out of space, obviously. But in these new battlefield modes, they are fucking everywhere. You literally can't take a step left or right without a ball dropping on you. It is the most frustrating thing. It's great and I'm loving it, but also I just need to find places where I'm not going to get crushed by these giant testicles.
All you can hear is just Guardian down, Guardian down.
Honestly, literally every 2 seconds. The first one, like, you have to do is part of the campaign. I think I got crushed on that one about 5 times. Just every direction I went in, because of the nature of the game, you have to move around a lot, don't you, to make sure you're not getting murdered. And every time I moved, I just moved into a point where a ball dropped on my head. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. But you're enjoying the new season, though.
Yeah, I am. I think there's with the content that they've added, it's kind of bolstered the amount of stuff to do each week. Like I'm now struggling to kind of do what I would usually do in a week, so that's good, I think. And obviously like the chase of new kind of exotics and items. And I just love the gunplay of it. It's so much fun. I love going into PvP, despite the stasis epidemic at the moment. But I still love it.
The gunplay is the only thing. The gunplay and the fact that I play with you guys is literally the only thing that in that game at the moment. Like I was saying to Ryan, and I'm tempted to write a blog about how I've fallen out of love with Destiny. There's so much I hate about that game. But the gunplay is so good that you can't not enjoy it.
I just love sniping people. It's just so much fun.
It's just
so good.
It's just that
the
little
gunplay is
dopamine hit, isn't it? When you get like a sweet headshot.
It's just like feels good, man. Just
exactly. Gunplay is absolutely solid. Like playing with you guys, the way that the multiplayer works is really smooth. Apart from the fact that it's teams of 3, which is annoying because we always have like 4 of us on. But it's just everything else. It's a stasis situation. Like you say, the stasis epidemic at the moment, it just makes me so angry.
Yeah,
I can't deal.
I get that, but I've kind of learned to live with it and kind of love it a little bit as well. So it is frustrating at times, but I still in Destiny.
I finally got my first aspect.
Nice.
And I have nearly finished that Born in Darkness Part 3 mission. What I can say is that the aspect for the Titans is absolutely dog shit and I hate it. So it's much, although Ryan's like, yeah, once you upgrade your stasis, you'll love it. I still hate it.
I just, every time I see a Titan coming towards me, I just like shit my pants because I'm just like, I can't kill your super at times and it lasts too long, so please leave me alone. As soon as I hear it, I'm just like, right, I'm just going to run in the corner, see you in a bit.
Well, the first aspect means you can slide further and harder, basically, which is why there's so many slip and slide Titans everywhere. But the problem is I'm not a slip and slide shotgunny character, and I despise those characters, and I refuse to be a slip and slide shotgunner. So that aspect adds nothing to my life. Nothing at all.
Well, there is a new chess piece that you might like. I think it's a chess piece for Titans for the Thunderstrike, and it's like I saw Glad using it the other day, and they're basically like 2 or 3 hitting bosses with it. They're just like zooming across the map, and it's just decimating bosses left, right, and centre. It was brilliant.
I'll have to look into this. It might be the first thing that takes me away from Armamentarium, which I absolutely adore. But no, okay. So moving on anyway, because me and Max will talk about Destiny until literally the podcast ends.
Yeah, I'm just sat here like I know, like I have not got a clue what they're talking about, but it sounds fun.
Stop talking about space wizards.
So my game for this week is it's an older. No, I say older. It's not that old. 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. I forget.
It looks old.
I mean, it does look old. That is accurate. It's Fallout 76. It's a bit of a weird one to bring up, but I purchased this back when it first came out. Did a 24-hour charity stream with it. Fucking hated it. Awful game. Had no substance to it whatsoever. I binned it off, got rid of it, and then recently, over the last 2 years, I think it is, they've been upgrading and putting a lot of content in because it was a massive failure on Bethesda's part. It really struggled. So the original one didn't have any NPCs. The story was all told through like notes, which nobody enjoys. So they've basically now added NPCs. They've added more story to it. They've added so much more content. And a friend of ours has recently started it. And I thought, fuck it. We all went out and paid like £4 for a copy. And thought, fuck it, we'll get back into it, give it a whirl. I've been really enjoying it. It's still not perfect. It still has its issues. it's a much more playable game than it was now, than it was before. It's still a bit buggy. It still has its, like I say, it still has its issues here and there. But there's something about the concept that just feels so relevant right now. So if you've never played a Fallout game before, it follows the same concept as all of the Fallouts in that you are, or at least the last 2 or 3 Fallouts, in that you are a vault dweller. You are a person who has been born inside a nuclear vault, and your parents are those that went into the vault to protect themselves from the nuclear blasts during a major war. So you've never experienced the outside world. The game generally starts with you being an adult and you being allowed to go out into the outside world, or you escaping out into the outside world in some capacity. This one, the Vault 76 is the vault that is set to open and be the first people to go out and explore the world. And again, what we've been in lockdown for nearly a solid year now, in and out of lockdown. So this concept of being locked inside these 4 walls and being the first person to be able to go out, or like going out and experiencing lots of things in the world for the first time again, just feels so relevant right now. It feels like the game is like the end of the lockdown. Go out and experience the world. Go and see what's out there.
Like COVID, the game.
Yeah, and it's just that idea is just really sort of hit home with me right now, and just the idea of going out and experiencing the world that I've already experienced before, but now it's got like a new shiny light to it. And the community in that game is fantastic. They are so nice. And again, that's been really pleasant. So they've changed the system now. So it's got a proximity microphone system now. So when you're in close proximity to people, you can hear them and they can hear you.
Yeah, I think that's always fun, no matter what game you play.
Yeah, it's a great system. And everyone I've come across so far, not only have they been super nice, I mean, they're all a higher level than me, or near enough all a higher level than me. I've met a few low level players, but I'm only like level 17, and I'm meeting players that are like level 100. They're all very high level players. Never once have they attacked me. Never once have they been a dick. They always come up, "Oh, how you doing, man? You enjoying the game? Like, here, let me give you some stuff." And they always just give me, like, they just give away stuff. "Oh, here's a bunch of like health kits. Here's a bunch of food. Like, I hope you enjoy the game, man. Like, go out and experience the world. Here's some freebies to help you out. Here's a gun." Just That's super cool. Nice community. They're just, yeah, every time I've run into someone, they've given me something, or tried to be nice to me, or offered to help with a mission. They're just, like I say, just super cool community. And I know our friend Shane, who is the one who's been playing it quite solidly recently, he contacted me the other morning and said to me that, so he's level 45 or something now, and he actually ran into a group on Twitter that are a Fallout 76 role players.
Yeah,
so he came across this. I think they're called the First Responders of Alapa. I can't remember. I don't know how to say the place. I don't know.
Appaloosa.
Anyway, they call themselves Appalachia. That's it. They call themselves the First Responders, and he said like he was just going about his business, and these guys came up, full role play, didn't break character. One of them had a character of a ghoul and was even doing a ghoulish voice to match their character.
Amazing.
And they like offered him some help, like offered him a load of resources. Because he's quite high level now, he actually turned them down and said, "No, I'll give them to someone else." And they were doing like certain missions and offered to have him join them for some bits, and he offered to help him out with some bits. And like I say, just the community that's built around that game just feels so pleasant right now. It's just such a pleasant experience to be in. I've just really enjoyed my time this week, and like I say, it just feels so relevant.
Very wholesome episode this week.
Yeah, this is a wholesome episode. Well, I mean, it's wholesome until we get onto you and probably about to moan about Space Wizards. So go ahead, Mike. Hit us with your Space Wizard review.
I mean, I'm a third of the way through the Fallen Order. a Star Wars game because I finished Mandalorian, which was great, and it just left a little Star Wars taste in my mouth. So I was like, I saw it on Game Pass. I was like, I'll give it a download. I'll try it again. Initially got about 2 planets in. And I was like, I'm just done with Star Wars. I'm just done. and that was before Mandalorian. But yeah, so Mandalorian is like, I mean, I spoke to Jedi about this, and he said it's like single-handedly, like, brought Star Wars back into being good again.
Yeah.
So yeah, so initially hated it first time round, giving it more time this time, and I am enjoying it, but it is sort of tapering off a bit and getting a bit sort of repetitive and a bit dull. Yeah, so I got to the Kashyyyk level, and I finished that one. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird because like I kind of enjoy like chopping people up and stuff, but then your kind of moves get a bit samey and a bit sort of. I know it probably varies a bit later on, and I've just picked up the dual lightsaber, which feels really like just meh. I hate using that word, but it's just like just the kind of way he twirls it around. It's not like doesn't make you feel like Darth Maul does with his dual lightsaber. Like he just kind of like he's swinging a mop around. Like just,
with that dual lightsaber, it's weird, and I know they do this in other games anyway. But generally, when you've got a very fast weapon that has multiple blades, it's weaker. And I think that's what happens with this. The dual lightsaber, its initial like attacks are weaker, but obviously it can do more attacks. But that doesn't make sense with a lightsaber.
No,
because surely they should all be the same.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense that it's weaker than a single lightsaber.
I mean, it's meant for groups, and then the initial sort of attack is just this weird sort of mid sweep thing that he does, and it's just boring to watch. Like, and I know you get upgrades for it later on, with like different move combos and stuff. But it was just boring to watch, and I've not really touched it since then. And like I said, I'd since picking that up, I was just like, this is kind of like go back and watch Mandalorian again because this is like.
I enjoyed it when I first played it. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's not memorable. I don't think.
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't have many good qualities about it. Like the story, I'm just not into. I don't care about it, and I should because it's so story driven. The lowest point being Kashyyyk and like the Wookiees, and like usually like I love the Wookiees. Everyone loves Wookiees, but they just look shit. They just look fucking awful.
They do, and I don't even think the story's that good, to be honest. I don't remember any of this. All I remember is the pain that game brought me. I don't remember any of the story.
But yeah, just like there's a part where like Forrest Whitaker like jumps in and he's chatting to you for a bit, but it's just like, why are you here? Like I don't care. Really, it's just like.
I think, and kind of the sort of issue with Star Wars at the moment is it's all very predictable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially in the story, and I think with at least with things like The Mandalorian and Rogue One, the kind of it's got that Star Wars feel to it, but it's just kind of diverting into different territories, doing different things with the story, kind of the pacing of like what you would usually have of Star Wars. There's an episode in The Mandalorian which is very it's almost like Alien-esque, really. There's like a hunt, with like Mando's hunting people, and it's just a completely different feel to what a normal like you would sort of find in a normal Star Wars environment.
Yeah,
I think this kind of just continues to kind of be that copy paste scenario. It's like, oh, it's got Star Wars on it, so you'll like it.
I think the thing with that, Max, is that the minute you go, the predictability lies solely with the Jedis, because the Jedis are they are the within the Star Wars world the epitome of a good guy. Therefore, the good guy will always win.
Yeah.
Whereas, like the Mandalorian himself isn't technically a good guy, but he isn't. He's not really an anti-hero either. He kind of sits in this middle weird grey area where he's willing to do some shady shit
Yeah.
to get what he needs to get done. But at the same time, he always tries to do what's the right thing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily pan out in the right way. Whereas the Jedi's are always the case of they need to and they will only ever do what is right, and because they are the epitome of a good guy, the generalization is that story will lead down to a point where the good guys will win because that's that predictability around the Jedi's, and I think
Yeah.
that's
I think
yeah,
you've definitely hit the nail on the head there with like I think my problem is not with Star Wars, it's with Jedi's and
Yeah.
fucking space wizards that, to be honest, have shit powers and like they're just not that exciting, and they're just kind of like, you know, the true good character, like and I think with the main character in Fallen Order as well, he's just a bit of like a wet lettuce. He's just like nothing special about him. There's nothing unique. Like, I mean, the actor who plays him is a great actor, but it's just that character is just not great. Like, there's nothing about him that screams like I want to know more about this character. Because I just don't care because he's just a Jedi, and it's just like, oh, he's good. He's a good guy. He's got everything he does now is just going to be for the good. So it's not like, it doesn't have those like moral grey areas and
exactly.
Yeah.
And
We've seen this hundreds of times.
and with the like exactly what you're saying, the Jedi's, the most exciting time we've ever had with the Jedi's, in my opinion, was when we didn't really know what the Jedi's were. Like, you look at Luke's story when we all first saw it many moons ago, we didn't really know what the Jedi was or what this Jedi Order was or like what it meant to be a Jedi. So we were following him along as he learned it. But then everything that's come, the prequel stuff that came after and the sequel stuff, we understand and know the Jedi's at that point, that's where they've become so predictable.
Yeah. It's almost like they've kind of tied their own hands behind their back.
A little bit, yeah.
Unable to do anything interesting with the story now.
And this is where, I mean, we've seen it with the Disney Plus announcements, though, and hopefully we're going to see it with the games. Is that they're just going to come away from Jedi's and just give us other stuff. Everything else in the Star Wars universe is so much more interesting than Jedi's, apart from Ahsoka, because she's cool.
And I think, you know, there was a little bit of a hint of kind of the diversion from like the focus of the Jedi's in The Last Jedi, and that was one thing that I did like about that film, was that they were like, you know, this good versus bad doesn't really matter. That there's so much more that's at play here, and I think that little bit there, which completely got forgotten about it in the final film. And I was like, oh no, that's quite an interesting kind of look at the Star Wars universe, but it just never developed it at all.
Well, this is where, and again, I'm sure Jedi can correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I haven't seen all of Clone Wars but my understanding is, and this is why I'm quite excited about Ahsoka, even though it still goes down that almost Jedi-ish path, is that she isn't a Jedi, and she actually turns her back on the Jedi Order, but she's not a Sith. She's a lightsaber wielder, Force user who sits in the middle ground, doesn't believe in everything the Jedi's want, doesn't believe in everything the Sith want. So we're going to get an almost interesting and more inspired storyline from her that we're not going to get if you're full Jedi or full Sith.
Yeah.
So my advice, Mike, is just stop. I think the more you play that game, the more your hatred for Star Wars as a whole will come back.
And it's going to get more frustrating as well towards the end.
Yeah.
The final boss battle did cause me some issues.
Yeah, I know. I watched Shane play.
I nearly cried. Right, issues. I nearly had a full-on mental breakdown.
Mate, when the power of Stan Bush pulled you through, we all cried.
It was literally one of my most amazing gaming moments ever that I will never forget.
So good.
But yeah, so you've played something else this week, haven't you?
Yeah, so with us talking about sort of graphical art styles, one game jumped out to me on Game Pass because I've been just trawling through that back catalogue these last couple of weeks because Xbox just don't want to cancel my subscription, so they just take it out every month, so I can't do anything about it.
That's
But yeah.
tired.
Exactly. So like I've been playing this game called Haven, which had this great sort of graphical art style to it. So it's a RPG-esque type game. I only got like an hour in, but it has a sort of time-based attack similar to the way Final Fantasy, the original one, sort of worked, where you'd have to charge up a bar and then attack. And you're in this sort of world that's all fractured. And everything's blue and looks cool, and it's all sort of neon, and you kind of float around as these two characters. So you play as like a couple, like a boyfriend girlfriend type deal. So yeah, it just initially seems like the dialogue has like some weight to it, and sort of impacts the relationships of this couple. And then sort of if you get along while you're adventuring, and then you bang. Because I've watched this in the trailer, and it just seems like you bang, you go adventure, you come back to your little caravan or whatever it is, and then you bang again, you go adventure, and then you come back and you bang, and it seems good. I mean, I'm pretty into it, but the art style is it's really cool. It's like really unique. It's got these sort of pastel kind of colors to it. It's kind of cel shaded, a bit anime-ish. But yeah, everything's got of neon and pastel, and it's very bright and colourful, and it's worth a play. But I'm gonna I need to play more, so I can't give it like a full review. But what I've played so far seems fun.
Yeah, I'd seen a trailer of it when it came to Game Pass, and I was interested in it for sure. I think my Game Pass is running out actually, and not that I have anything to currently play it on in that sense. But from what I saw, like as you say, there was like a very cel shaded sort of characters,
Yeah.
and environment, and because you're kind of like cleaning up the planet, aren't you, or like areas?
That's it.
'Cause
Yeah,
all
this
kind
it's sort of like infected with this sort of rust type. It's like a sludge, and you just scoot around over it. You like hover around the map, and you just clean stuff up, and it just seems like a nice, pleasant time. And
yeah, it's cool how, because I think it's very like red and black, like the infection, or the rust, and then obviously as you kind of traverse over it, you kind of bring that vibrancy back into the world, and that looked quite like that mechanic. It looked quite interesting.
It kind of reminds me in a way of Concrete Genie, in the way you were sort of like painting the world and changing things around you and stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out at some point. It's been added to the backlog, so
yeah, the ever-growing backlog.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nice.
I'll definitely be dipping back into it again. So
yeah, I look forward to hearing your more full review of that once you've played a little bit more.
Yep.
See where that goes. But as Mike just alluded to with his cheeky little segue there, we are talking about graphic art styles in our final segment. So as Mike's just hit us with that Haven one, we'll go into our third segment, our final discussion point. So what I've put down today is that let's talk about art. Let's talk about our two personal favourite games based solely on art graphic styles. So that's gameplay's irrelevant. Anything else is irrelevant. It's solely on art and graphic styles. That like what stands out for you? Because I know there's going to be like if I just said your two favourite games, Mike would just start talking about Last of Us again.
Scary. I really love
or
brown.
yeah,
I
really like brown and grey, which could work for both of those games. But so yeah, two games talking about graphic styles. Why? We'll do our usual round the room. Max, if you can give me one of your two first. One of your two first. Your first one, whichever one you want to talk about first.
So my first one came out in 2012, and that was Journey. I don't think I actually played this until 2015, after 2015 when it came out on the PS4. I don't know why I'd avoided it for so long.
Well, I don't know why you did either, because it's a great game.
I almost had this on my list.
Sorry, stop it. But yeah, just kind of it's such a stunning game. There's so many points for such a short game as well. There's so many key points in it and areas that are just so standout. And it's brilliant where it, focuses on like a minimalist design ethos. Like, the gameplay itself is very minimalist. I know you said don't talk about gameplay, but
it's
fuck you, Shane.
it's kind of part
No,
of it.
you
Though.
can you can still talk about it. I'm not saying
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
talk about it. Just that wasn't our focus.
No. But yeah, just kind of in terms of the gameplay, it's very, very minimalist. You're just exploring, and
Yeah,
because of that,
so you kind of
sorry,
like you either like jump and then you can sort of sing or like you make a noise, don't you?
yeah, because they didn't want it so that you like hindered any progress. Like there was a multiplayer element to it, but they didn't want you to hinder progress. They wanted people to kind of nurture other people, help them explore the beautiful environment that they kind of set out. But yeah, it was developed by that game company who originally did Flower, which also came out on the PS3 and had several re-releases. But you had Matt Natha, I think his name is, who was like a key sort of focus, like a key designer within Journey, and has gone on to build the Giant Squid team,
Right,
who have also released Pathless, which I played recently, and that is also very good. I think you should definitely check that out. But yeah, like the main focus around Journey is kind of the cloth dynamics, not only of the character but of the environment as well. There's flags that are kind of signposted around, flowing cloth that you kind of jump up that kind of connects bridges, and this is all sort of flowing in the wind. But like the architecture and character design is very heavily influenced by like Middle Eastern culture, which you can see like within the architecture, and then but there's also kind of this influence of like Tibetan, Chinese, and Japanese influences sort of trickling through as well. Kind of as you get to the final stages, you've got like the Shinto shrines in like the mountain area, kind of propping through, kind of almost creating this like dreamlike sequence and very sort of spiritual area. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, you can really see all the influences from like all different sort of cultures, can't you? Just shining through.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant about kind of that game company's games, and also of Giant Squids. Like it's incredible to kind of experience and explore kind of these design elements from different cultures, and kind of this and some like it's kind of the stories as well, especially within Pathless, experiencing those different cultures influence on the stories.
Yeah.
The environment it's very flat, but it has that little bit of texture on certain elements to kind of make it pop, and kind of using strong color cues and lighting to draw that sort of illustrative feeling that you kind of get within the game.
I know there's a part that I always remember where you're sort of sliding down like a sand dune, and then it
Yes.
sort of the camera sort of slowly pans like so it's a side on view, and then you just get hit with this like blast of like orange and all these great colours coming through, and it's just like this such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it's such an emotional experience due to scenes like that. It's just incredible. And with that use of light, it's like the lighter sections and using sort of brighter and more vibrant colors, you've got like a feeling of where that area is quite happy, and then kind of when you get to kind of the third sort of part of the game, it's very dark, very constricting in terms of like the use of fog, to kind of reduce your view on the environment, and I think that's that's done really, really well in that game.
Mm-hmm. As well, like
that is a
one thing for me, like it did feel like a journey that I went through, and I know that's the whole ethos of the game. But so you sort of mentioned it briefly about how you'll get another player sort of interacting with you in that world. Like I managed to play like through the entire game with this other one person, and we got to the end, and it was just like this like amazing journey, like that just it comes to the end, and then it kind of leaves you just like kind of sad.
Yeah, it just transcends. You don't know who the person is, but you've kind of developed a friendship, a relationship with that person.
Exactly. Yeah.
For no other means. You can't really communicate. You can only like jump around and kind of like sort of walk and say, "Go, come over here." It just kind of transcends that feeling of being restricted by language barriers and cultural barriers. It's like people have made their minds up individually about kind of who the character represents, like whether it's male or female, or it's not necessarily set, although it does have like the influence of like the Middle Eastern architecture and things.
Yes, especially
it's not
early on as well.
Yeah, it's still part of its own world, and it doesn't restrict it in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, such a good game.
Yeah,
that it is a solid title, and graphically, like you say, it's just absolutely stunning. So
I need to play for it again now.
yes, you do.
On the backlog.
Yeah.
So Mike, what are you going to be able to follow that up with? Because that's a great start.
So mine is something very different to Journey. It's not as beautiful and transcendent, and it's not this amazing journey. It's Borderlands, and that art style. It initially started off in development as a very brown and dull. I love my my brown games.
Who do love your brown games?
So in development, it was this sort of like drab shooter, almost Halo-esque. They originally dubbed it as Halo meets Diablo, and they started off with this sort of gritty sort of art style, and then they went through all these different changes, and then last minute they just decided to sort of really stylize it and add this sort of cell shading, almost like comic book style to it that it's now renowned for. I don't know I know Shane, you're a lot like me and spend a lot of time on TikTok, and you see like so many cosplayers just with this like copying the art style in makeup and things like that. But yeah, so and you can kind of see like the graphical jump from Borderlands 1 to Borderlands 2, where it wasn't just a last minute change. They really like leaned into this style and perfected it in number 2, I think. Sorry, Max, you're going to jump in there.
Yeah, sorry. I think one thing that set Borderlands apart from especially that generation of games, like I know we were joking about Skyrim being very brown, and you were saying like it started off a kind of brown and dull looking game, but that was so much of that sort of generation of that time of like the PS3 and Xbox 360 era where it was like Gears of War. It's a good game, but they're all just brown and muddy, and I don't know, like
brown was in fashion.
Yeah, it was focused on realism, but why did realism mean that everything was brown and crap?
Yeah.
Have you been outside?
Yeah, at the moment it's still quite snowy up here, so but yeah, it was just good that kind of Borderlands chose to focus on setting itself apart, especially in that era of just brown and shitness.
Yeah.
The thing with that art style as well is not so much now, even though it is always going to be the first thing you think of, is the minute you see that graphical style, no matter what game it is, like if it's a new trailer or something, your immediate thought is this Borderlands? Because it sets itself apart from from like everything else by having that style.
Yeah.
And even now, where games have tried to copy or do the same style of like cartoony cell shading, that it's known for that, like really big popping colours and very bright game.
So, yeah,
Even when those trailers drop, the first thing you'll think is this a new Borderlands game?
yeah, I mean, one that specifically jumped to mind to me when you say that was Apex, and when that sort of
Yeah.
launched, I was like, is this a Borderlands? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
But yeah, so no, I totally agree with that.
yeah, they've done it. They say they did a really good job, and it's so colourful. I love it. The
Yeah.
the colour scheme they use is great.
Yeah, especially in number 2, where they because it wasn't just a sketch over the already made brown environments. It was fully fledged. Everything, all of the colours popped in that game.
Yeah.
You went from
Yeah.
snowy areas
I need
to
to go
like
back and
yeah. You go from snowy areas to like deserts, and you go all over this like really colourful world, and really brings like the world of Pandora like to the front.
Yeah.
And as well as like the comedy writing from the lead writer Anthony Birch lends itself to that comic book style as well. Like really complements it perfectly.
Yeah, the writing for it's really good.
Yeah,
Really good.
Yeah, I need to go back and I just couldn't get on with Borderlands 1 when it
Same.
initially came out, and
yeah,
I think like the art style and kind of the world aesthetic, like, I really do like that art style, and I think it does, from what I've seen of like the comedy aspects of the game, I think that works together really, really well. But I just couldn't get on with Borderlands 1, so
It's one of those
try it again.
games that like everything it's got, I want to love. Like
Hmm.
I should love every single element of it, and I do love every element of it. But the minute they're put together in the way that Borderlands done it, and I got so many hours in, I was just like, oh, I just don't love this anymore.
yeah.
It's just, but that's just my personal opinion. I just couldn't get on with it.
I've replayed Borderlands 2 so many times, but I've never gone back to Borderlands 1 because it's just the worlds apart in terms of art style, gameplay, and just the writing in general. Like, so much better in 2. It's a good starting point, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe I should start from number 2 then instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it wasn't 3 a little bit hit and miss as well. Maybe just do 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't really like 3. I didn't get very far.
And Mike likes the game, so maybe
Yeah.
just play 2 and ignore the other.
Play 2 and then see how you feel about it.
Right, 2's added to the
Add into the backlog. I'm about to add another game to your backlog if you haven't already played this. So I don't know if you two have heard of this game. Max definitely has, because I've definitely shouted about it before. It's a game called Forgotten Anne. Don't know if you've heard of it, Mike.
Was it free on PS Plus recently?
Don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's ever been free on PS Plus.
No, I'm thinking of a
it's
different
on-
game then.
It is on consoles, but I would 100% advise you to play it on Switch. I played it on Switch, and it is the perfect title for the Switch. It's just stunning. It's a completely hand animated side-scrolling action adventure. It's not particularly long. I think you can complete the game in just under 6 hours. It's not a particularly long game at all. It's not an expensive game. I think it's like £7 or something, maybe even less than that on Switch. I picked it up. It came out in 2018, and it was by Throughline Games. I don't think they've done many other games. I think it's one of like their only games that they've done. But it basically follows this girl named Anne, and she is in the world of forgotten things. So there is another world that is intrinsically linked to our world that we can't see or access. But when things get lost and forgotten about, that's where they end up. So
Cool. It's like
you meet
Alice in Wonderland vibes.
Yeah, 100% a little bit like that. So you play as Anne, who is one of the only humans in that world, and everything you meet like is an item that's been forgotten about. But when they go to that world, they gain sentience. So like you come across a lost sock, for example, that's got a face and it can talk and it walks around and it moves around on its own.
Yeah.
But it's been lost and forgotten about in our world, so it moves so it's gone on to this other world.
Just when you said forgotten items, I was thinking yo-yos, pogs, Pokemon
Yeah,
cards.
like literally all those items that you are missing sock, a random boot. Like you just meet all these crazy characters that are just these hand-drawn, like stunning art-styled like characters that they've created. And one of the things that I really, really liked about this game as well is that Anne is human, but they've made a real effort with her, the way that she's animated and the way that she plays to make her human. She's not super. She's got an element of athletics to her. Like she is athletic in nature, but she's not acrobatic. She's not like some Tomb Raider can do like backflips off of things.
Yeah.
When she jumps from a height and hits the ground, she doesn't land in a cool way. She stumbles and falls over. When she's running, she's quite heavy in the way that she feels when she's running. She's graceful, but she's not, like I say, she's not like a Tomb Raider-esque can sprint for a year without having to take a breath. She climbs ladders at the pace like a human would climb ladders. Like
like the movement's got weight to it, kind of thing.
Yeah, everything she does and the way that they've like drawn her and the way that they've animated her just makes her feel human. But the whole world, like I say, it's a side-scrolling action adventure, and the whole world, all of the background art, everything, it's all hand animated and it looks absolutely stunning. And I honestly would say anyone who's got Switch, play it on Switch, go and play it because it's fantastic. It's only about 5 or 6 hours long. If you haven't got a Switch, it's on Steam, PS4 and Xbox, I believe. Go and play it on one of them because it's such a good game.
Add it to the backlog.
Yeah. Well, my backlog's ever growing in this episode.
Yeah, you add it to the backlog, Max. Mike, you're playing Switch anyway at the moment. Just go and buy it.
Yeah.
Go and play it. You will not regret it.
I'll buy it, play it for an hour, and then buy another game.
Yeah, I think when you initially said to me about it, because it's very reminiscent of kind of that Ghibli.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Studio Ghibli animation, like,
right.
and even not just the way it's animated, but even like the whimsical nature of the storyline.
Yeah,
and I think we kind of said about like Ni no Kuni as well, just that similar sort of Ghibli style, and as you say, the whimsical sort of feeling that it has is it's stunning.
Yeah,
exactly. And
as art styles go, Ghibli's just worth a mention, isn't it?
Well,
Even if it's not a game.
Yeah,
100%.
Like, trying to get that in there.
Get it, force it in there, Max.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is that very much that really, really whimsical anime style. And I think it was the second ever game that I played on Switch, and one of the only games I've ever completed on Switch.
Wow.
And yeah, after I hated Zelda, when I got that, I was like, bin that off. I'm going to see what's on sale. And this was on sale. The animation style, as a big anime fan, I saw it and was like, oh my God, this looks like a Ghibli game. I'm going to have to buy it. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And it's everything about it, like I say, is spot on. And it's just got that beauty, that whimsical beauty of a Ghibli film that you'd really enjoy, with the exception of that new Ghibli film that we don't talk about because it looks horrible. But yeah, if you've not seen it, Mike, don't go and look it up. It's they've released a new trailer for their new film, and it's a CG animated film, and honestly, it looks horrible.
Yeah,
it's just lost all that character that kind of Ghibli is so well renowned for. It looks like a TV at like a children's animated like TV show on CBBC. Like during the day, like it's a shame.
Just before Max gives his second one though, which I know links into what I was just talking about with regards to hand drawn. You can go online right now if you're interested in Ghibli's art. They have released hundreds of art concepts and art pieces from their films for free online that you can just go and download for free. They've just released like for each film has like 25 to 30 pictures that they've released of their original concepts, of some of their like concept artwork, some of the artwork they actually used in the films, that you can just go and download in high quality straight off of the website. And they honestly, there's some, when you look through it, you just see the detail that they put into their artwork is just insane.
So good.
Yeah, that
Well worth
sounds
a look.
awesome. Adding
But
that to the backlog.
Added in there. But Max, to your second one then.
Yeah, so my second one. So this game is well renowned for how hard it is. Everyone's probably seen the news story of when reviewers struggled to beat the intro tutorial area, which was hilarious.
So do I.
It's Cuphead, and the artistry behind this game, like the team of completely, they've got to be commended for just how stunning this game looks, and just how well it kind of shows that 1930s animated style, kind of a la Disney and the Fleischer brothers, you know, Mickey Mouse and Betty Boop. It's just incredible that like the backgrounds are, you know, watercolor paintings, and then all the animation frame, like all the characters and elements in the foreground are like an animated frame that have been painstakingly drawn by hand. And they were saying that they looked at the difference of colouring it kind of normally or sorry, can't even say it, digitally colorizing it, and they said that there wasn't too much difference, so they picked with the easier option, with which at the time when they first started developing this game, I think it was only a team of 3 people involved. Kind of the insurmountable effort that these guys had to go through to kind of get this project started is just incredible, and it's amazing seeing kind of true to the styles of the 1930s of having those like technical limitations and imperfections that you used to see on those animations, like the out of focus, like blurry elements, but also like the imperfections of like dust and hairs and like the noise, like on the actual like image itself. It's just so good.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Like Roger Rabbit with like the Toontown, you know, where he like breaks a wall open and then there's all of like Toontown is just like displayed and it's all like wacky, and it just kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that.
I fucking love Roger Rabbit. It's such a great film.
Well, absolutely one of my favourites as a kid as well.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in years, but it's such a good film.
But like, just reminds me of that.
Yeah. It's just so. I just commend them for their efforts. It's such a stunning game, although albeit very frustrating game to play.
It's worth mentioning the music as well, because the music is great in that.
Yeah, I think it's just like a whole package, isn't it? It's not only like the music, but like the artistry behind it. It all kind of focuses that element of like what.
Yeah, it all lends
kind
itself
of just
like complements each
emulating
other.
that. Emulating that style is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's.
But the music is one reason why I'll never play it, because I've watched a few people stream it, and if they just die straight away, then the music just starts again, and it's just like the same sequence of music, and it's like I just can't cope with that in my head.
Yeah, just bringing back memories. But the parent is absolute. Please not again.
But yeah,
again, it's
totally
like with Borderlands, it's an art style that makes it completely stand out against anything else.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just they really did a fantastic job with that game.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what is your number 2?
So my number 2 is one of my favourite games of all time. It's Shadow of the Colossus, which is this sort of beautiful, sprawling open world where you play as this one man that's trying to resurrect his girlfriend, his dead girlfriend, and the way he has to do that is he strikes a deal with this sort of demigod or god type thing that if he kills these 12, I think, monsters or 16 monsters, I always forget the number. But these huge beasts that are just roaming the land, minding their own business, being perfectly innocent, if you ask me. And you're just this tiny little man. You have to climb these huge beasts, and you have to find the weak spots and just brutally murder them in the noble goal of getting your dick wet.
Hitting them in the weak spots for massive damage.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it has this like really minimalist, very brown, very brown
Yeah,
art
It
style
is
to it.
very brown.
But
when I saw this,
go on, sorry, Max.
sorry, yeah, when I saw this, I was like, oh man, it's such a brown game. But I think as you're about to say, I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, it just works with the world, because it's just this really sort of dull, almost like somber world that you're in, and it's very silent. And as you're sort of riding through the land, you just hear like bits of nature, and so it's this very like quiet, really subtle sort of way of telling a story, and it just kind of leaves it to your own interpretation of like how the story is progressing and why you're doing this, and it leaves all of the reasoning up to yourself, because you have like little to no dialogue other than shouting egg roll or whatever the horse's name. But yeah,
Egg roll!
again, like the art style of the game itself all still holds up now. It's just this great story about killing beasts, and
Beasts
there
that
are. Go on, sorry, Max. Again.
killing beasts that just minding their own damn business.
Yeah, like the way after you brutally murder this monster by just stabbing it in the head a few times, it leaves you with this really sad moment where you just watch the beast sort of fall to the ground, and the music kicks in, and it's really like sad, and it's just like this emotional, like the game journey itself. It's just an emotional journey.
Yeah.
Just more murder.
Yeah, but it's just so beautifully done. Like it's just incredible, and there are like really sad moments as well, and some surprising sort of plot twists as well, which is crazy for a game that has almost no dialogue, other than sort of like a brief intro to what the monster is about, kind of thing. But it's very like fantasy mumbo jumbo, like in the way it's written, so it just leaves it entirely up to what you interpret it as.
Yeah, so it's so tragic, and just as you say, like although being so brown, it's just got such an ambience to it.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah,
it just works.
Yeah, ambience is the word I was looking for that whole time, but yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
It's one of the only games that really gives Brown a good, like, positive review.
Yeah,
Brown never looked so good.
Exactly. Exactly that.
But yeah, just that's it. It's just a beautiful game. If you've not played it, just go do it right now.
Just do it immediately.
Yeah.
So talking about Brown, then my last pick actually goes in the opposite direction, because the thing that makes my second game so good from a graphical art style is its use of color. And I know we've spoken about this game so many times, and I know Sarah's going to absolutely love me for raising this in this episode, but it's Persona 5. Like the use of color, and I mean the animation style itself is very good. It's got that very anime. I'm not going to say that graphically it's one of the best looking games in the world, because it's not. But the way that they deal with the graphics gives it that very anime vibe to it. It does make it help. It helps build that feeling that you are living in an anime. You are playing through an anime. And the cutscenes are literally just animes. They're just pure animated, like it would be an anime.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's lots of games that have done anime style graphics,
But
and
it's sort of very purposefully done. The way they use
yeah,
that style, like, just
and this is what I was going to say. Like, there's a lot of games that have used an anime style graphics, but the way that this game uses it and the use of color in this game just really, really makes it pop. It gives it that real jazzy, like real suave, cool looking style to it. And if anything, it's actually the use of, and I mean, Max, it'd be interesting to see your view on this, but the way I kind of look at it, it's almost like they actually take out some detail to pop the color more. It's like a lack of detail to allow more color to come through, as opposed to more focused in detail, to help give it that really sort of popping vibe. With particularly with obviously the color red is used a lot,
Yeah.
and it just gives it that really suave, cool sort of. I don't know what's best to describe. It's almost like noir-esque vibe, but with the color red.
Yeah, there's such a dynamic kind of the use of color, of the cuts between how like the illustrations and that pop on the screen. There's just so much dynamism within that.
Dynamism. I like that word.
It just pops. Like, all movement is so, as you say, like suave, which fits in with the music as well. It all complements each other, and as you say, like, there's a very sort of strong and contrasting uses of like blacks and reds, because you have like the illustration and characters where they're kind of all in like the black and white style of like a manga, but then you've got like these red pops on kind of different elements of their character design, like, you know, Joker's eye mask. I think it is kind of used as being red. You've got and her
Entire outfit.
her entire outfit is red. And just also in like the different environments, you've got kind of that sort of whimsical painterly element as well that kind of drips in, which I think is beautiful as well, because it's really really works.
Yeah, and even with when you the monsters, when you go to grab their face off, they're generally like these big sort of ultimately black shadows, but with like a white mask with red eyes, and it's just that those contrasts of those three colours that work really well. And it helps make the red, the white, and the black all pop against each other in such a way that it works really, really well. But yeah, so that's my last one. Now, I know that both of you guys have got some honourable mentions. So before we tie up the episode, obviously you've got an opportunity to discuss your honourable mentions. But Mike, because I know you've got fucking loads, I'm gonna be enforcing some limits on this. I am gonna give you. Get ready to speak fast.
We'll see about that.
I'm gonna give you 1 minute each to quickly talk about your honourable mentions.
I don't think I'm not going to need that long.
You're not going to need that long. Mike definitely will.
Mike definitely does.
And once the 1 minute is up, Mike, if you have not finished, we are moving on.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So Mike can start, because that way we can move on to Max after the minute. No, because otherwise you're going to drag it out.
I'm not. No, I won't. I promise.
No, Mike's going first. Mike first.
Have you got any, Shane?
No, I've got no honourable mentions, so it's only you two. So you first, Mike.
Right, fine. Okay.
Hit us now.
Right, so
Mike's gonna edit in like all of them later on.
Yeah, I've got the power. I can do that.
Hit us.
So Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, great cartoon art style, just super fun and vibrant. Limbo, again, like just art style that pops. Shovel Knight, great 8-bit like pixel art. Again with a short hike, this short little art piece that's on Switch. The Ori games are like great beautiful painted games. Art styles. I thought you'd go for these, Max. And finally, Love, Death and Robots on Netflix. That is a masterclass in art style.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So good.
There you go. There's your minute.
So many different art styles. Actually, I mean, you've only used 37 seconds,
That's all I
so you've got
needed.
20 seconds to fill.
Right.
That's all you needed. But on a serious note, everyone should watch Love, Death and Robots because
so fucking
it's
good.
not every single episode is a different art style. Like every single look, because they're like mini episodes, aren't they? Every single one is a different art style, and it just really shows how different and how sort of inventive they can be with art styles, and how much it changes the element of the story, or like how dark or light it feels and things like that, as to using different types of art really changes the emotion of each episode.
Yeah.
Max.
All right, Shane, stop banging on about it, God.
Yeah, that's definitely over a minute. My honourable mentions are the Supergiant games, probably more focusing on Hades and Transistor because those are the ones that I played
Hades
most.
is just so good. Such a
But
perfect
yeah,
game.
everything about Hades, the art style, the music, characters, like everything, so good. Definitely check them out and have a look at the art styles because Supergiant games definitely need to be commended for the whole package that they produce every single time.
Bastion as well was another great one.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, okay. I thought you had another one, but no, that's fine.
Well, I was going to say about Grizz, but I was going to talk about that when I was talking about Journey because the character designs are the same, and now I've talked about it anyway. So there you go. Thanks.
Sorted, and that's it. Right.
Yeah, so
Do you want to wrap us up?
yeah, so that's been this week's episode of Triple XP. So you can join us next week where we've got a group special where we're joined with Camp and a few of the other guys, a few of the other regulars. So it's a good time to subscribe now. So you catch that next week. So that's it. Catch
Triple FD. Triple FD. Triple FD.